Hello, in this video segment we're going to take a look at a new data entry screen Tize has added that allows you to enter scores for multiple reporting standards that are connected to a single assignment. So for example, if you have a test and there are a variety of questions on there that are assigned to a variety of reporting standards, you can create the definition one time and then go to a screen and do all the data entry on one screen. So we're going to step through that process here and give you an idea of what that looks like. So to start the process off, once you've logged into your gradebook, click on Scores, and then a list of your classes will show up. And if I click on Mathematics, that's a course we're going to use here from this little demo, you'll see a list of all the definitions that are connected to your mathematics class. And so I'm going to add a new definition. So to the far right under Select an Action, I'm going to choose Add a New Definition. And so we're just going to kind of operate in the premise here that I just had given a test, so I'm going to use Chapter 4 test, and I'm going to put that in the area of a summative assignment. And remember, everything in the gradebook will have a max points set to 4 that you can't modify, so you can just leave the 4 as is. And because it isn't a summative assignment that perhaps you spent a fair amount of time on during the trimester, you may want to weight that at a higher level. So in their scalar weighting, I've just chose to weight it as a 3 or 3 times the value of something that is just weighted with a 1. So think of it more like that scalar weighting as a multiplier. And typically people use anywhere from a 2 up to a 5 is a fairly typical weighting that you can apply to something in that summative category. There's no hard fast rules at this point, just a general guideline for you to use. So here's what we have: the name of the assignment, Chapter 4 test. It's in the summative category, and I've weighted it at a value of a 3. You don't have to weight, it's just something that really depends on the amount of time that you spent on it and the value of that particular assignment or test. Underneath the list of the assignment title, you'll have a list of all the reporting standards that are connected or available for you to choose from for that particular assignment. And so let's just imagine that this test dealt with 3 reporting standards that fell into the area of number and operations. So you can use a little plus signs, minus signs to expand to show those standards. And so this particular assignment dealt with the 3 standards: read, writes, compares fractions, uses relationships between ratios, and multiply and divides decimals. And so at this point I'm ready to go ahead and click Save and Enter Scores, and it'll bring me to a default screen where I can do some initial data entry with your individual assignment. So to the far right here, the individual standards are identified. Now the full standard name isn't displayed, but if you take your little hand and float that over the number, the name of the reporting standard will highlight. And you can just come in here, and if you have your paper sitting next to you, you can type in, so the student got a 2, a 3, and perhaps a 3 on the respective reporting standards that were connected to. You go up here to the top and you can see the name of the definition. That'll always be highlighted up there at the top. So this is sort of one data entry screen, but if you wanted to use an apply all feature for an individual reporting standard or to quickly jump back and forth, there is a new data entry screen that they've added. And so to get to that particular screen, I'm going to click Save and Return to Scores. And it'll bring you again back to my list of definitions for mathematics, and here's that Chapter 4 test that I was just using. And so now when I go to the right underneath Select an Action, this is where I'll see the new option available to enter scores for individual standards, and they've called it Edit Standard Scores. So when I choose that, it brings up a little different look. I don't have a lot of that other information on the screen, it's just the name of the student and a list of the individual reporting standards. If you're not quite sure what the assignment was, you can always again go up here to the top and that will be listed. So let's just demonstrate. I'll demonstrate here how you can do the apply all for the individual standards. So underneath the name of the title you see 4 selected standard listed, and there's a little drop down for you to choose the individual reporting standards. So I'm going to choose read, writes, compares fractions, and I'm going to come to the right of that and choose 3 and choose apply all, and that will apply 3s to everything in this column that deals with that reporting standard. So click apply all, Now every student has a 3, and you can come back in and just say, okay, there were just a couple of students that really earned a 4 on that reporting standard, or maybe some that just earned a 1. So it's a way for you to come back in and modify just maybe the 2 or 3 students that didn't maybe fall into that mass apply of a 4, 3, 2, or a 1. And is it something you're going to use every time? Maybe not. It really kind of depends on the assignment and the results that you had when you corrected those papers. And so it really kind of depends on a case-by-case basis. But really, I just want to show you here an example of how it works for the other 2 standards. So I'll choose User Relationships. I can come over here and type in, maybe everybody earned a 4 on that one. We'll choose Apply All, and there were just a couple of kids that perhaps missed it. So it's the same concept that you're probably familiar with on the elementary report card side of things, where you could do the Apply All. We now have this functionality built into the scores entry in the gradebook. I'll fill out the last reporting standard here for multiply and divides fractions. Do Apply All of a 3 for everybody, and then again, just to demonstrate how you can come back in and find the individual students if you need to make a separate change for those kids. So if you don't like the Apply All feature, you can use that initial screen that I showed you earlier, where you just kind of find each kid and type in the individual scores, or you can go to the individual definition and choose Edit Standard Scores, and that will bring you to this screen. And before you leave the screen, you just want to make sure you click Save and Return to Scores menu. That will save everything you have entered on this screen, and all that data will now be available for you to look at in an individual report. So as you start to use a new feature and some of the other new features that are in the gradebook, communicate and let your gradebook trainer know how it's going. If you have ideas, please let them know. This is kind of the first year up and running with some of the new features in the gradebook, and Ties is willing to listen and make modifications as we start to use the gradebook more throughout the school year. So please keep your gradebook trainer informed and have a great year. Thank you.